sauti moja, pamoja tuishi pamoja, Kenya moja, sauti moja, pamoja tuishi pamoja, Kenya moja, sauti moja, pamoja tuishi pamoja, Kenya moja, sauti moja, pamoja tuishi pamoja, 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 pamoja tuishi pamoja, 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 pamoja tuishi pamoja. Taifa letu, yeye ndio wajibu wetu. Kenya istahili heshima, tuungane mikono pamoja kazini. Kila siku tuwe na shukrani. Pamoja, pamoja, pamoja tuishi pamoja, 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 pamoja tuishi pamoja, 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 pamoja tuishi pamoja, 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 pamoja tuishi pamoja.
Moja tuishi pamoja by Africa Kenya. Welcome to another segment of the PowerTalk show. This is on Wednesday, 3rd of October. I hope you're doing quite well on this day and God is keeping quite well. So welcome. Remember, so today we don't have the, don't text in. I want you to, if you want to chat with me, you can go to my Facebook page. I am Dominic George and chat with me there. Send a text message there, comment there and I'm going to read it out, or go to my Twitter handle. I'm at I am Kamau Mwangi and I'm also going to respond to you there. So today we are talking about an economy that kills. It's a question mark. Are we living in times where the economy does not help the common mwananchi? And what is the problem with the current economic model? And today with me, I have got the country manager, Abraham, who is going to be helping me. Abraham is the country manager for International Budget Partnership, all right, Kenya. And also I've got Jeremy, who is also a financial analyst. So these are people who are very competent in these two fields, and they'll be helping us to understand the question of the budgeting, about the economics, about the ethics behind the economics. And I want you to be part of this conversation. So go to my Facebook page, go to my Twitter handle, I am Kamau Mwangi, and let me know about what you think about this topic and what is your opinion, your question, your suggestions. I would love to hear from you. Pamoja tuishi pamoja. I take it back to West Africa so that they can help us out to understand the topic. Let's go.
sitasimama maovu yakitawala.
Sitasimama maovu yakitawala. Welcome back to the PowerTalk show. Thank you, At Africa, because that's the gist of our conversation about what is happening in Kenya today. And today we want to have a very serious conversation, and I hope you're going to be part of this conversation. What can we do to make sure that our economic model does not leave 39% of people outside of the national cake? What can we do to make sure that all people do understand and are involved and are getting what they need? Because economy is it's all about distributive justice. And as I said, today I have with me here Jeremiah Riro, a financial analyst, and Dr. Abraham Rugo Country, who is the country manager, International Budget Partnership Kenya. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for accepting my invite for this complicated show. All right. So I'm going to start right there with you, Jeremy.
Yes.
Tell us a bit more about you and what you do.
My name is Jeremiah Riro. I'm the managing partner of Y254, which is a business development company. We are focused on startups and SMEs. And our really mission is to make sure that these businesses grow. Because our philosophy is, if these businesses grow, then they contribute to the wealth creation for the nation through employment, through taxes and every other thing. And we believe that's the foundation from where we should start nation building. So
if I get you well, what you do is to help small businesses understand what they are doing, and also to help them understand the world of business, if I get you well.
Exactly. So we help them in understanding their operations and how to streamline them and make them more efficient and effective. We help them in thinking about long-term planning and growth and how they should get there wherever they want to be. We help them in understanding their numbers, financial management, and planning. And also we help them in investment advisory. That is helping them get the funding they need so that they can fund their growth plans.
Pretty solid. So if someone has a business coming up and they want to know what they need to do about it to make it solid and to make it grow, they can come to Y254.
Definitely. When they come to Y254, we break it down, we shred it, understand the nitty-gritties of the business, and then we together build it up. In a much better fashion, in a way that it can grow much faster, in a way that it can actually create more impact within the society, now that you're talking about ethical economics.
Yes.
And in a way that by the end of the day, it creates wealth for the shareholders.
For the shareholders.
Yeah.
He's doing pretty solid work right there.
Definitely.
Abraham. So tell us also a bit more about International Budget Partnership. Tell us a bit more about what you do there.
Well, thank you very much. At the International Budget Partnership, we are a global organization. I'm in charge of the Kenya country office, and our big responsibility is to ensure that the public, that's the people of the different countries, are involved in matters of public finance. So what does it mean? Basically is working on questions of how budgeting and use of public resources is transparent, is accountable, it's participatory, and in Kenya this is a constitutional right, but also is equitable, because people from different parts of the country have different needs, and therefore we work to ensure that through research and through training and through materials development, that people can be able to start thinking about how equitable is the resource distribution. Of course, that takes us into the whole array of how our budgets are done, both at the national level and at the county level.
So you were mentioning to me before that you're also very interested in helping people to see how open their budgets are, to understand, you are evaluating how open budgets are.
Yeah, I mean, so in globally we evaluate how governments make public the information of what they're doing with public resources. In Kenya, we also evaluate the counties. County by county. We just released our latest survey last week. It basically looks at how many counties are making their budget available, how many counties are making their development plans available. And this is through the official websites of the different counties, and also the official websites of the different government agencies and ministries.
You mentioned to me that Kenya is 47% in terms of openness to its budget, right? Which is, you said it's on average within many other African countries, right? And South Africa being the very first, if I remember what you mentioned to me. What about the counties? Which is could you be able to say which is the most open from your report?
So the latest report has, for instance, Nairobi is one of the counties that has got most of the documents available online. Nyeri was also somewhere there, and I could provide that list at a later point.
Okay.
But basically, and these are counties that are able to produce that have produced at least 5 of their key documents available online.
Online. That's pretty solid. Now, today I wanted to call you here because I wanted to have this conversation because I'm more interested about the principles under which our economic model is built, right? And one of the things that I'm worried about is we have an economic model that cares more about profit than people. Right, that's my concern. When you have an economic model where a large majority of the people it is supposed to serve unable to keep up with it, who are living from hand to mouth, and some others don't even have that anything to put in the mouth, there is something wrong with that ethic. What do you think, Jeremy?
Sorry, I think ideally our economy, the way it is structured, like you're saying, it's meant to kill. When you find someone selling you land that belongs to another person and they know that, that's wrong. When you find someone selling to you fruits on Jogoo Road or whichever road that you eat and then you feel unwell, you have to go to the hospital, and when you reach at the hospital you find a dubious or a quack doctor who gives you wrong medication just because they want to pursue profits. They don't care about your life. They don't care about whatever you're ingesting, if it is the person who is selling to you the fruits or if it is the person who is treating you with quack, the quack doctor who is giving you a fake medicine. When you find such kind of a society where people don't really care about the outcome, as long as they have money in their pocket, then we are really in a fixed position.
And this is the micro. This is the example you gave are the micro examples,
exactly,
right? Which keeps on expanding according to the resources a person has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you find that at the bigger level, you find people killing each other. You know, you have you hear there are people who are assassins for hire because someone kind of stepped on someone's business or someone's deal. That's on a high level. But I like looking at things at the micro level because that's where we start building the country. If we are not getting it right at the bottom there, and whatever happens at the bottom there is actually a reflection of who we are as a people. What happens at the top is just accumulation. So by the time you find someone is a big politician, very corrupt and stealing from the masses without caring about this is money that was meant maybe for healthcare or for food or for agriculture or stuff like that. It's something that has built up from the bottom. Maybe they are the same person who could have been selling the rotten tomatoes in the market. Or you go to the market, you want to buy a debe of potatoes. Half of it is empty, half of it,
there is oxygen underneath. So
there is oxygen. You're buying oxygen. So those are the kind of things that I look at, and when I'm looking at our economy, and I realize that ethics and our economy are kind of way apart.
So you see, Mr. Abraham, there was somebody who was saying, like giving an example of Obado, that he seems to have siphoned off at least 2.5 billion Kenyan shillings, right? That's one governor out of 47, right? So the question that comes is, if we have people who are in charge of, let's say, the governors are in one way or the other influence the economy in a very big way because of the policies they make. Now, we have persons who tell the people, we are going to serve you, but then when they get the resources, they do not. So they are an example of who Kenyans are. Sometimes I say, for me, the parliament is a sample population of Kenyans. But this is not just about Kenya. You are an international organization. We see also other movements where people are getting tired of this economic model. What is this thing that called ethics, and what do you think is its place in economy?
Several questions.
Yes, right there.
Allow me to start on a couple of things first. You see, the economy is the aggregate of how people are able to produce and consume. And there are different models in which people produce, and there are different models in which people consume.
Yes.
Where we are right now is that the world over, there's a huge preoccupation with consumption. And consumption is just simply about, because goods are available, there are always new things in the market, and therefore we need to continue consuming and consuming and consuming. What that does is that it means that there must be cash flow that is necessary to be able to finance that kind of. For instance, you want a new phone tomorrow, you must have the money to buy it. If you don't have the money, then you must borrow that money. You must find that money, either buy it on credit and the like. But when you take it to the macro level, you realize even in countries, the nations that we admire have had to go through certain processes and stages in their history. Whether you think about, and time will not allow us to go into that, they went into agrarian revolution, where basically it was about agriculture, and they came into industrial revolution, which basically was about mechanization and the like. And then they went into other processes of building democratic societies, so that now that there is already a lot of production happening, there needed to be mechanisms in how we distribute this kind of resources. But think about Kenya. Kenya, as we know it, was first a company, an extraction company. And history reminds us that this was British East Africa Protectorate, British East Africa Company, which basically was to produce raw materials for consumption elsewhere. So to produce sisal, to produce cotton, to produce coffee, to produce tea for consumption elsewhere. My thinking is that that extraction gene, if you call it, seems to have permeated all along, and therefore the drive seems to be extraction. Is how much can I get out of the system?
And it's an extraction that, you see, so the extraction could be a good thing. But what we are worried about, I think, and that's where you're heading to, is this extraction does not bother about the environment.
Precisely.
It doesn't bother about people. It doesn't bother about future repercussions.
Precisely. So it's an extraction that has me, myself, and I at the center of it.
Yep.
It's an extraction that you observe in the examples he was giving. So that a doctor in hospital is more bothered about your bill than you getting well. That's why they will admit you even when there's no reason to admit you.
And if you get too sick and you're not getting well, please die so to put someone else.
A teacher in school is more bothered about the school fees you pay for your kid as opposed to the education of that child. A pastor in church is more bothered about your offering, your tithe, and your your love offering and all those things than your spiritual growth.
It's true.
The politician is bothered about how much he can make. So you notice there's an extraction DNA that does not bother about what is collectively ours. Yet there is enough for each of us. You know, the guy who will sell you rotten fruits, poison fruits, or what kind of things is that extraction. And the drive for that globally, even in other countries, because other countries are starting to get tired with that kind of a model, is because that kind of model does not have space for the weak.
So it's only for the strong.
There's no room for the weak. So everybody's trying to get out of their weakness.
It's a jungle.
Capture. And as soon as they are out there, there's, driven by a scarcity mentality, they want to go and get as much as practically possible. And then once they've gotten as much as practically possible, they want to come back and get power to protect what they have already. And we have examples.
True.
So I wanted just to explain that kind of, so just to set the pace.
It's quite
as to where we are coming from.
True. Where this mentality built
and how it has built
and has become part of the economy. You Jeremy, you're an entrepreneur, right? And I remember we had a conversation with you, and you were saying that there's some statistics that show that some businesses, entrepreneurships, they don't pass the 5-year. 9 out of 10 don't pass the 5-year mark. And I remember you gave a very good example, and you said if that was a school where you have a failure rate of 90%, that's not a good school.
Everybody has failed.
Everybody has failed, basically. So what is your take on this, that many people still say entrepreneurship is the answer, whereas we are saying there is a 90% failure rate for people who start?
Yes, so I would like to pick it from where Dr. Abraham has mentioned about the extractive economy and how we were primary producers of primary goods for exports. So that's where we started as a country, and anything that is geared towards mining and all those kind of things, it gets a lot of support, a lot of funding, a lot of attention. Everyone wants to be there because we believe that that's where the real money is. When we discovered oil in Turkana, we thought that we had made it because we're extracting something from the ground and just selling it, and that has been our mindset. Now, In terms of entrepreneurship and its role in economic growth, that again is a whole big topic, and it requires kind of a mindset shift. The simplest answer as to why all these companies fail is lack of innovation, or rather getting into the business without having identified a real need or a real problem in the market and how to address it. And not just address it, but address it sustainably. So you're just getting into a business because, you know, you've seen your neighbor is doing some business. They have a kiosk, you want a kiosk. They have an M-Pesa, you want an M-Pesa. Ultimately, definitely, you're going to fall at some point because you're
copy-paste.
You're copy-pasting. Your fundamentals are not right. So the whole issue about innovation, which is creative problem solving, coming up with new ways of solving the problems in the society. Because really, at the bottom, at the bottom of entrepreneurship, the foundation is actually the society.
True.
What are the needs? What are the problems that people have in the society?
But if I may interrupt a little bit there, don't you think there's a problem of one, greed, that the entrepreneurs are growing in a very hostile environment that lacks ethics, one, and two, sometimes even the entrepreneurs themselves have gotten tired, and if you cannot beat them, join them. So they want quick money, right? Tenderpreneurship, right? Which is again still a lack of ethics, which takes us back to the grounding of the economic model itself. Would you say this is true? Yes. That's also it's also contributing to the failure of this entrepreneurship.
Yes,
entrepreneurship.
There's an element of greed, and it's actually, when you look at capitalism is founded on greed. Yeah, real capitalists will tell you greed is good, because when I'm greedy, I go out and try to fight and get what I want, and I don't rest until I get it. So that greed is good, but now the greed with the microwave mentality of I want it now and here is what also contributes to people not really beginning or starting businesses that are sustainable. And so most of them will be there for the short term, trying to make the money without having a real problem they're trying to solve, and that's how they'll end up falling. And looking at it in a bigger way, I think from the economic point of view, I don't think entrepreneurship is given the right attention in the right way as it should. We talk about it, we debate about it, we write about it, but we don't really give it the right attention that it should be given in terms of trying to promote innovation and creative thinking. Because if you give money through youth funds to a young person who has not gone through a training on how to run a business, that business, be sure, is going to die. So, and entrepreneurs, as looking at the whole economy, ideally, the political class, where power is accumulated, they want to continue being there, and the only way they can survive there is by having an empowered citizenry, and also having people who are not informed. So if you're going to do something that is going to inform these entrepreneurs and empower them to be people who are asking relevant questions, like we were talking here before, these guys are going to lose power. They're not going to steal from you. And so the whole economic model, because they're the policy makers, the policy they kind of make, they tend to favor them. They appear to be supporting entrepreneurship, but I don't really think there is like practical effort to work with these businesses, make them more educated, let them ask the right questions, make them have the right skills, so that they can carry out sustainable businesses.
Thank you for that. That's for sure. I think that's one of the questions I would have asked. What can be done, and you have already answered that. Before we take a break, Dr. Abraham, I would like to ask you this question of someone said, the source of violence in societies is social injustice, all right? So there is this huge parity between the rich and the poor, and it's growing, all right? And definitely more arms and guns are not going to stop if people get tired of it, right? So what do you think, in your opinion, can be done peaceably, right? To help close this gap between the rich and the poor, where the economy is simply serving a small minority, but the large majority are still left out. What can this large majority do to regain their position?
I mean, I agree with you, and we have research that has been done. There's a very big relationship between increasing violence and social injustice. And why is this? It's because anytime you go into a road where certain people, whether they are 2 or 3, feel excluded, or that they feel they don't have any chance of ever making it, then they have to fight. I mean, if the only option you have is, if you already know you're gonna die, and so the option is how,
it's better die fighting.
You better die fighting. So that's one. And what I said is, in an economy that is driven by extraction, there is no care, there is no mercy for the weak. And who is then supposed to take care of the weak? That's where the role of the law comes in. And you've asked a very important question. What can be done about this? There are two things that societies that have been able to get out of this kind of situation have had to do. One is guarantee public services. Because what public services do is that everybody has an equal access to the highest available standards of service. What do I mean by this? Guarantee that everybody has access to water. Some of the biggest fights and conflicts in this city of Nairobi are around water. Have access to...
And there brings in the water cartels.
Precisely.
Which brings in the question of ethics.
Precisely. So once you have a surety that you will access public services of the highest quality possible, but at the lowest cost necessary. Health services that I know very well that when I go to hospital, I am going to find a doctor who will treat me, and I'm going to find medicine for the same. So that's one. Education, that when I go to school, I am guaranteed that I will get proper education, and I don't have to, I mean, proper education is not just found in the big schools where people pay a lot of money. So that's one. And you cannot protect, I think it's Abraham Lincoln who said this, you cannot protect the few who are rich unless you take care of the majority who are poor. That's one. The second thing is some level of price control. I studied in Germany, and I was shocked as to the fact that in any supermarket you walked into, say for a few that are known to be high-end kind of shops, any supermarket you went into, the price of milk was almost a few cents, almost the same.
So the difference is not significant.
The cost of bread is the same. And that means that government has to intervene and be assured. What that means is that with €1 or with 100 shillings, you're assured of almost a balanced meal. You can afford an egg, you can afford bread, you can afford.
That's pretty solid.
So you don't let the market forces rule. And you see the countries that have a lot of turmoil right now, like the United States of America, is where they have let liberalism, they have let free markets rule, and that has pushed people to the extreme. Because
so they keep the costs keep rising, the cost of living
keeps going up. When you still have many people who do not have sufficient incomes, the best way is to assure that with a certain, because you cannot talk about minimum wage unless you have fixed maximum cost.
I think I'm going to pause you right there. We're going to, so you can take a break and pick it up when we come back. Today we're going to have a song for a break. There is a song that it's called Change by Jicho Nyanya, who is right here with us. So we're going to watch this song because he's also is part of the young people who are coming up and say, you know, enough is enough. We need some change. We need an economy that helps people be able to sustain their own livelihood. So at Africa, mnaweza kuendelea kuketi hapo hapo, and then let's us watch this song, and then we come back for